Good morning, guys. I just woke up, but Splatoon 3 patch 5.1 is now on the horizon, coming out today if you guys live in America, and tomorrow if you live anywhere else in the world. And I gotta say, just glancing over it, it's very, very interesting. So let's go ahead and not wasting more time, let's get into it. And if you do appreciate this, make sure you like the video. Like it now. You have time. Like it. Go on, do it. Patch 5.1 releasing October 17th. That's today. The terrain in Mahi Mahi Resort has been changed in all modes. If you didn't realize, on Twitter as well, Splatoon JP put a tweet out saying that Mahi Mahi was going to receive some changes around the spawn mainly. I just said, hey, just bring back the old Mahi Mahi. If you'd like to go see the old Mahi Mahi, check out my last video. But yeah, Mahi Mahi, of course, returning, and we're going to be able to see the changes for that today. But starting off with weapons, the Splattershot Jr movement speed while firing is now about 6% faster, so Splattershot Jr is just a little bit more nimble. That's kind of cool. For the L3 Nozzlenose and the H3 Nozzlenose, this is a buff to them. The reduction in damage based on how long a shot takes to reach its target is now more gradual. Now, I'm pretty sure what this means is that they're talking specifically about fall-off damage with the L3 and H3 Nozzlenose. The reason being is because they say the reduction in damage. The only way you can reduct damage from a weapon is when you are going for fall-off damage. So basically, if you arc your shot with one of these weapons and it goes into fall-off damage, the damage fall-off isn't going to drop off significantly, it's going to be more gradually. We're going to be able to see that change today, so. Either way, we move on to the S-Blast 92. They've reduced the amount of ink consumed by approximately 15%, huge. Now it makes it so much more efficient, and you're not going to run out of ink so much. Like, I was actually playing it the other day, and yeah, you run out of ink a lot with this weapon. But they've also made mid-jump shot scatters reduction, which brings it closer to scatter levels while shooting on land. From the intensify action gear ability, easier to activate with a smaller number of gear abilities. So if you use intensify action on this weapon too, it's going to be a little bit more accurate, which cool. I mean, the S-Blast was already pretty accurate too, so that makes it even better. So for the carbon roller and for the splat roller, they've widened the angle at which horizontal swings deal maximum damage. This is basically a damage buff for both the carbon roller and splat roller, specifically, of course, only to the horizontal swings. So now there's a much wider radius to actually be able to kill, and it's going to be easier to kill with both of these weapons now. So really, really interesting change there. Moving on to the Painbrush, they reduced the amount of time it takes for the ink to begin recovering after swinging the brush by about 10 frames of a second. There's also been a reduction in damage based on how far the shots travel before hitting. Also, the fall-off damage based on how far a shot travels before hitting an enemy has been adjusted, allowing the weapon to deal 50 damage to 33.4 damage further than it did before. So this would mean that the Painbrush is getting a damage buff, and if I'm not mistaken, this would make it so that it is a consistent 2 to 3 shot kill directly and up and over stuff. So that's also very, very interesting. It's more 3-shot more than anything, because I feel like you arc your shots with this weapon way more than other weapons, obviously, but solid damage buff to say the least. For the mini Splatling, they've reduced the amount of ink consumed by approximately 13%. Now, this one is actually really good because this is kind of like a revert back from Splatoon 2, where they actually nerfed the mini Splatling because it was shooting too much. But in this game, it definitely kind of needs to, so I perfectly agree with that. The mini Splatling consumed way too much ink, and it actually might be a little bit better, or a little bit nicer to use now, actually. If the mini Splatling was to be ever strong in Turf War, this is definitely something that's really nice. The Hydra Splatling getting a buff, so that's cool. The movement speed while charging is now 10% faster, and they've also increased firing duration by roughly 8%. The Hydra Splatling is shooting much longer, and it's actually moving much quicker. This is huge, actually, because the Hydra Splatling before was very, very slow. Like, I feel like even with the increased firing duration, that's going to allow you to just get Booyah Bomb even quicker, since there's only one Hydra Splatling right now, and it has Booyah Bomb and Auto Bomb. You don't really use the Auto Bomb, but it's actually kind of a nice thing to have, but the Booyah Bomb, hey, that's quite nice. That's really, really nice for Hydra Splatling. So, and moving on to the Glooga Dualies, the reduction in damage based on how long a shot takes to reach its target is now more gradual. So, again, talking about fall-off damage. So, it looks like they've been doing a lot of fall-off damage changes for for a lot of weapons in this game. They've done it for the Glooga, they've done it for the Painbrush, they've done it for both L3 and H3, so I think there's some solid changes for the weapons, so yeah, that's good to see. Moving on to the sub-weapon, which is only one, it's the Curling Bomb. They've reduced the amount of ink consumed when using a standard ink tank from 70 to 65. So weapons that have Curling Bomb, I'm thinking like only Reflux, the Splattershot, I guess. So I mean, yeah, you get more ink out of those weapons, even though those weapons were really ink efficient already. So right, so we're moving on to the special weapons, and these ones are really juicy. So look at this one. The Killer Wail 5.1 increased damage dealt by approximately 17%. I'm kind of worried about this one, guys. I'm kind of worried about this one. Because that's just so annoying. That's just so annoying. Like, first of all, Killer Wail was annoying already, alright? And it makes people move, it forces people to move, and that's pretty good. Increased damage makes it so that you really want to make sure that you're, like, being aware of a Killer Wail. Like, things like 52 Gal, things like the Ink Brush, that are both really good with Killer Wail. The Tri-Stringer as well. There's a bunch of weapons, or a handful of weapons that have Killer Wail. Even a Rapid Blaster, too. Dang, dude, this is gonna make... gonna make a lot of those weapons much more powerful. You're probably gonna get like more kills that you didn't think you'd get, but now get just because you're using Killer Wail more. Yeah, that's mad annoying. That's really annoying, honestly. There's just more damage that now people who aren't using Killer Wail and getting inflicted by it are now just going to take. So yeah, dang. For the Kraken though, movement speed while not charged is now roughly 11% faster. Interesting buff. I love this because I love using the 96 Gal Deco, and that's going to probably increase the usage of the 96 Gal Deco just because the Kraken is a lot faster now. So, oh, okay. I kind of want to see the comparison of this, like how much faster is it actually going to move? Like, of course, 11%, but like, you know, 11% is kind of big. It sounds kind of big actually. So yeah, that's interesting. For the Trizooka, this is something that some people may be happy about, but they've also reduced the damage dealt from explosions from 60% to 53%. If you can hit a Trizooka directly, this is not going to affect you at all. However, this does make it so that if you are being inflicted by a weapon that does 40 or above damage, and I guess the splash damage comes at you, you should not die now, which is nice to know. It makes the Trizooka a little bit weaker, but like if you're still sending it with 2 Trizooka hits, I guess with splash damage, that's still probably going to kill. Or it's actually going to be a thing where you're actually going to be able to have the time to recover some health before you get inflicted by another Trizooka shot. So all in all, I think that's a fair nerf to it, because personally, if you bring it back down to 40 like it was before, Trizooka is probably not going to get any use. So I think this is definitely nice to have, and it needs to happen. For the Tenta missiles, it's actually getting enough. They've decreased the radius of explosion area that deals 30 damage by approximately 15%. So that's really interesting. It's just made Tenta missiles just a little bit weaker. I wonder if this is just because that they're getting ready for the burst bomb eliter with Tenta missiles that may come into the next season. I don't know, maybe, I hope. But basically, that's all the special weapons. There's only 4 of them. Now, there are some special weapon changes, so we're gonna go through them, and there's a lot of them to actually go through. So we have the Aerospray that went from 200 to 190. The Rapid Blaster that went from 200 to 190. The Big Swing Roller that went from 200 to 190. The Squeezer, very interesting, 200 to 210, because it has Trizooka. I mean, that I can understand that. This weapon gets Trizooka really fast. Trizooka also being really strong right now, and I think that's really fair, because I think the Squeezer as just a main weapon is extremely strong, so fair enough to that. The Trizooka Nouveau, 190, 200, Tacticooler, gets a little bit less Tacticoolers, but that seems pretty fair, honestly. I don't think there's really anything wrong with that, so. Custom Dualies Sculpture, 200 to 210, that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's Super Chump. So you get a little bit less Super Chumps, but I don't think that's going to affect it too much because the weapon paints really well anyway, so you're probably going to get the same amount. And Splatana Stamper, 200 to 210. Zipcaster, so less Zipcaster. Zipcaster has been seen a little bit more. A lot more people have been using Stamper, especially within like the turf war meta. I guess if you're trying to get to the world champs or EU champs, which I was in, lol. But yeah, a really interesting change to say the least. Now, just to look through the whole patch, honestly, very interesting patch. It doesn't seem like it's gonna really like shake up the meta too much. I feel like things like, I think probably people are probably looking at the Splattershot and they're like, man, why doesn't this weapon have any nerfs or anything like that? It's like, it's so good right now. Why haven't they changed the special? But the thing is, how I see it, I feel like they're looking to change the Trizooka just to see if it's the Trizooka or if it's the Splattershot. Like right now, of course, the Splattershot gets Trizooka very, very quickly, but I think they really want to see how this is going to change the Trizooka if they nerf the damage like this. Like, of course, just mid-season, maybe they look into the next season and then they actually really go ahead and change the Splattershot up if the Trizooka continues to be as strong as it is right now. But I can understand Squeezer change. Of course, Squeezer, the main weapon, is just really, really strong, so that makes perfect sense to me. Honestly, the things I feel like that are going to be used more are Killer Wail weapons and Kraken weapons. And I think personally, I think we really need to watch out for the Killer Wail more than any of the other changes that have been put into this patch. Like the Killer Wail change is pretty dang good. I think 52 gal probably gets used more. I think 96 gal gets used more. Maybe even heavy Splatling deco. Like, I don't know. Like, I think these two are the two things to look for. Trizooka also still being very, very strong. Maybe it's also to entice people to use Kraken more and Killer Wail more against the Trizooka stuff. So yeah, this is going to be really interesting. I'm interested to know what you guys think of the patch. It's going to be a very, very interesting one. So I'm saying interesting a lot, but I think it's cool. I think it's a really, really cool change. Some really cool changes in there. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Tell me everything, like rant, everything. I want to hear it. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you did, of course, like the video if you haven't already, and also subscribe to the channel because there's going to be a lot more Splatoon 3 content and whatnot on this channel. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I shall see you guys in a future video.